I'm going to tell you a story. And that story is about the Nordics and openEHR. So in the Nordics we used to have a lot of monoliths. I would say dusty monoliths. And we have had a journey from these closed monoliths to open ecosystems. First, a little bit about myself. I am an e-health management consultant from Rosaldo Oy from Finland, so one Nordic country. I'm a recognized openEHR educator, and I also lead openEHR International's education program. I'm also teaching, so I've got an academic leg as well, and I teach at Tallinn University of Technology. My focus is open ecosystem projects, so not only openEHR, but also FHIR and OMO, IHE, XDS, etc. So all these open standards working together. I would say that we have a very, very strong sharing culture in the Nordic countries, and cross-organizational data sharing has always been the objective. So I would say that sharing is sort of a prerequisite when we make care processes across different organizations in the Nordics. And this resulted in national document-based data sharing infrastructures in all Nordic countries. And I think it was one way to cope with the monoliths, that we share the documents, and it's better than nothing. Okay. But then what happened? We started to talk about more integrated care. We started to talk about integrating social and health. We started to talk about various data sources beyond EHR, combining data for decision support and AI. We talked about consumer-centric prevention and care. We recognized the need for automated processes. So we understood that our documents are sort of limited and we need something else. There was an increased pressure to develop further. So this is when openEHR came into the picture. But you can utilize openEHR in different ways. And if we talk about the general main approaches in Europe first. So first of all, you have openEHR-based data exchange. And in this approach, the legacy stays untouched. We may have a CDR where we have specific data sets. And then we develop openEHR-based new applications for specific use cases. And that is actually the main approach in many countries. Then we have modular EHR. And this is where we go to the source level, like Katarina was talking about the source level. So we produce data already when it is generated with openEHR data model. And then new applications, they gradually replace legacy functionalities. And this is the Nordic way to do things. This is the main approach in the Nordic countries. Then the third approach is openEHR and integrated care. And it goes even further. So we talk about cross-sector sharing. We talk about integrating social and health and all levels of health. And this is where I think Finland is a forerunner, because we can already today take data from legacy sources, harmonize it, and show both social and health data in the same patient dashboard. And I think it's quite lovely. So what is then this modular EHR? So instead of one vendor bundles, monoliths, we are gradually going to multi-vendor ecosystems. And in this case, all data is stored on open platforms in the openEHR data repository. And then we build the application layer that is totally separate from the data layer. And these applications they can come from different vendors. They can be your own development if you are a healthcare or social care provider. And they can be smart watches, wearables, devices, all sorts of different data sources. So EHR is only one source in this puzzle. And then, of course, legacy can and should be also integrated to the same framework. And then we can use different open APIs on the application level to interact with the data platform. And of course, we can also have various other shared services on the platform, not only the openEHR data repository. So this is the ideal modular EHR picture. But of course, can you please have the questions at the end? Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah, so this is ideal, but we can go stepwise to this ideal picture. Okay. In the Nordics, I think we are really, really lucky because our industry understood the importance of openEHR. And the Nordic openEHR development has really been vendor-driven. Our dominant EHR players, they took openEHR as their internal data model. And they started the modernization journey. So from monoliths to open modular ecosystems. And actually, this was the reason why we started to have emerging, say, resulting wide adoption of openEHR in the Nordic countries. And if we talk about, for example, Norway. In Norway, there is a company called DIPS. I don't see anybody from DIPS here. But yeah, they are the dominant EHR vendor on the specialty healthcare side. 75% of specialty healthcare is already openEHR based when the data is produced, and 50% also from the GP side. And this is where another company is dominant. Then in Sweden, we had 21 counties. And Cambio is the vendor which is in transition from legacy to openEHR-based applications. And they are in 18 counties. And then we have Region Stockholm, where they are implementing now openEHR platform for the whole region Stockholm. And this is where Tietoevry is implementing the open platform. Tietoevry is a open platform vendor also definitely in Finland. They have altogether 14 openEHR clinical data repositories installed in Finland. So I think that it is 2.5 million citizens of Finland that are already covered by these 14 openEHR data repositories. So I think we are lucky. We have good vendors, and I'm really proud of all of these vendors. And we need to remember that this modernization journey has not been easy, and it's still ongoing. So it is stepwise, and this is the beauty of openEHR, that you can do things stepwise, but you can still have, the clear vision ahead of you. And some end customers, they have also been strongly involved in this transition of the legacy products to openEHR, also financial. So there is a Nordic shift, and this is a lot of text, and you don't have to worry. If anybody wants, I can share the presentation with you. But I take just a couple of things as an example. In a monolith, it's very difficult, or even impossible, to change specific system functionality to an equivalent one from another vendor. But if you go to the open modality side, then modules are replaceable, they are more independent, and you can even have frequent version updates by modules. This is the ideal picture. Inside the monolith, you can have perfect care pathways, but they are internal care pathways. They don't go across the systems other than the monolith. And in open modularity, we have process tools for cross-organizational care pathways. Okay, why did these Nordic vendors, several of them, why did they choose openEHR? This is the main question, because this is the transition that I think we should do in other countries as well. And the main thing is here. You know, we have epics, we have cerners, we have all sorts of big bundles, and they have fancy features, a lot of features. It is really difficult to compete with them without having something else. And the key differentiator that the Nordic EHR vendors saw was the openness, open modularity. They saw that, okay, let us show to the customers that, hey, we can do it in a different way. We can bring some other values than this big monolithic suite. They also saw that why wouldn't we take the ready data model? We have in the openEHR space, we have a data model that fits for various use cases, and there is the established governance that Katarina was talking about. The vendors, they could focus on functionalities and not the actual data model. How to utilize data in an intelligent way, how to make new insights to the data. That is the key thing. And it's also important to understand that, hey, no vendor can really be an expert in all. It's better to partner, better to take modules from different sources and build a multi-vendor ecosystem. It's also easier to collaborate with end users because you can actually build co-development programs. It is easier with openEHR. And I think also what is important is that with openEHR we can keep up with the innovation. So we don't have to beg big monoliths that, hey, we would like to have this and that. And what if an unexpected situation comes and you need to react really quick to get new kinds of applications, for example, to understand COVID. I think Heimed in Germany, they were really good because they had open platforms. They understood COVID data, and then they also made a central repository for COVID data. And it is also, of course, easier to go international because openEHR can also enable application portability if you really follow the openEHR principles. No vendor-specific features, please. Okay, so vendor-driven, but we have also some other emerging and customer-driven initiatives for openEHR in the Nordics. So first of all, Östergötland from Sweden, they were leading a Swedish RFI for open platform and tools in 2023. We have Östergötland people here as well, Åsa and Peter, yeah, if somebody wants to talk to them. And that was a common effort for many counties. It was not only Östergötland, many counties, and they were interviewing companies and sort of trying to understand what is the offering, and also telling to the vendors that what is their vision. And the first procurement that came out from this RFI was Karolinska Open Platform Procurement, that Tieto Everyone. In Sweden, they have also openEHR-based research project, financed by Vinnova, and actually Östergötland is also very active in that. That is not a surprise, of course. So they have a ASHA project where they bring openEHR to the research world. In Norway, I wanted to pick up one thing. In Norway, they are automating prostate cancer data reporting to the National Cancer Registry by using openEHR. That's also lovely, you know, no manual picking up data, but really automation. In Finland, we have also openEHR-based data exchange, and that is an effort by UNA, and UNA is owned by different healthcare regions. And they take legacy data from different systems and harmonize it and show it together in a dashboard. In Finland, we also wanted to boost the development of openEHR applications, and 7 innovation centers, they said that, hey, let us make an implementation guide to the small ones so that we can accelerate the innovation. And a lot more. This was only just some examples. Why did these end customers then go for openEHR? I think the main thing is avoiding the vendor lock-in. This is what we want. So I think the first time in the history of EHR, it is possible that the organization and the patient and citizen, they really have the ownership of data. The first time in the history of openEHR, EHR. Innovation is preserved, modules can be replaced independently. Migration, hopefully we have the last migration to do. And then later on we can just have the data securely on open platforms, and we don't have to worry about the migration when we want to change the application vendors, and so on and so on. And maybe the last but not least is the AI thing. We have been talking about AI. AI is like the hype in the Nordic discussions as well. But there is no point to do AI if your data is not good. We all agree on that, I think so. Yeah. All right, some vendors that we can see in the Nordic space. So I think that these openEHR-based companies, some are, say, far further in their journey, some still beginning, but these guys we can see in the Nordic space. And I really do want to have more people here and more vendors, especially little application vendors. This is like close to my heart. Okay, so how about the future? I think the future, the Nordic future, and hopefully the future in general, will be mixing and matching. So, I would love to have portable applications. I would like to put things, different things together in different ways, in different ecosystems. So, picking things from the application store, marketplaces. Best of breed modules, what do you want? Your own development if you are a healthcare provider. New niche innovative applications from the marketplace. Then the tools should be portable as well. And what is also important to understand that data can be located on various open platforms. So in the future, it's not only one platform in the region. It can be several. And data can be located on these platforms. So we talk about federated architectures. So today, still the project, they seem to be like one platform projects. this is not going to last long. We will have federated platforms. Then open standards. It's not only openEHR. It's also FHIR, OMOC, etc. And I think that it is really, really important that we stop this battle between FHIR and openEHR. And see here, openEHR modeling in Finland is under ACL 7 Association. ACL 7 Association of Finland is a member of openEHR International. Yes, I think this is something that you can be really happy about. And then I think that we also need to mix various process tools, clinical decision support tools, different automation tools, etc. So this will be quite different in the future. Look at this. This is a Nordic interoperability hackathon. I'm also a little bit involved as a consultant here. So it will be held by Health Data Sweden in March 2025, and we have already had, say, initial workshops, etc. The clinical focus will be multi-sick person. And we will have 3 platforms there. We will have Tietoevry, Better, and Cambio, yes. And more platforms are also very, very welcome. And then we start building applications in teams and hopefully see also cross-platform portability. And we hope to create a marketplace for multi-sick person applications. Not very good English, but anyways. So I think that we are advancing. But I would still say that even in the Nordics, we are taking baby steps. I would like to run faster, but yeah, we need to be careful so that we are not too overwhelming, and we need to get everybody along. All right. Oops. It has not. Yeah. This is it. The Nordic success factors, I wanted to summarize this still here. I think existing sharing culture is really, really the powerful element we have. It is our power. Then the legal maturity, because we are used to sharing documents. So we can benefit from that, because we have a legal framework in place. Readiness in the vendor community is really, really important. We really count on our lovely vendors. And then we have also been very good in building awareness across the whole community. Not only the little IT and techie group, we need to talk to the whole community. And I think clinicians, they are the key. They can turn this into success. But they need to understand why it is better to take the openEHR approach instead of the monolith approach. We also built awareness. This is one example. We had a Nordic masterclass earlier this year together with Jan, and that was also very nice. We brought different roles and competencies from different organizations together to discuss, learn and discuss. Discussion is very, very important. But it has not always been rosy, so we have had challenges as well, you can bet. So the 2 first challenges are related to speed. And I think that the slow pace of modernization of the EHR software, that has been a pain as well. But the vendors, I understand, because they have installed base and they need to do the modernization at the same time. But now it starts looking really good. But also, what I would like to see is the new players entering this field. The small players, how can we support them? Because now in the openEHR community, we are talking about platform. Where are the applications? we need to have more applications in order to show the wow effects to the clinicians. This is really, really important. Otherwise, this is not spreading. We need the application layer and the wow effects. Then, of course, legacy is a burden. You know, I can say it. You know, it's a burden. So not all legacy vendors are friendly. Some are really friendly, and they expose their legacy APIs, and it is easier. But even if you have a legacy API, mapping of legacy data to openEHR, it is cumbersome. But we can make it. Remember, the last migration ever, and then we can get rid of that. Then the healthcare side, I would say that we have had some problems here. So adopting the ecosystem thinking while planning procurements. Karolinska was super, the Stockholm region. You know, those guys, they knew what they wanted. But then we have some other regions in the Nordics that are still a little bit, you know, in their journey towards this ecosystem thinking. Then governmental support or lack of governmental support. This is throughout the Nordics. We don't have governmental support. It's almost unacceptable. But it is really hard to get the governments to support this. And you know, now they see what is happening and they accept it. But it would have been very nice to have some support, because we also need resources on the national activities and owners for these activities. And then we have had some unnecessary battles between openEHR and FHIR, but that is sort of getting better. This is a marketing slide, so if you want to know more about openEHR, please come back to us. And if you want to have this presentation, I can send it to you, no problem. So please let me know. Thank you.
Any questions?
Yeah. 5 minutes.
Oh, lots, good.
Yeah. Yeah, maybe you are first, because you were
Yeah, you had the overview slide of the platform with the application on top and the CDR at the bottom. I was wondering, in your view, is that a single CDR for a region, or are there multiple CDRs, or even maybe one single national CDR? How do you see that?
So I personally, I think that we should have a federated architecture, so that we have different open platforms for different purposes, or even, you know, inside one region. So people should be able to select platforms, but this means that the platforms, they have to be, say, in accordance to the openEHR principles. So when you buy platforms, you need to be careful.
Okay, thank you.
And one platform vendor.
Sorry, I'm Matt, I'm from Bitter Group, so we provide the platform in Germany, Catalonia. A question on where it sits comes back to the master data management strategy of the organisation and the clinicians and how we manage your data. Because the structure of federated versus centre actually is a people challenge of governance and data sharing governance and ethos of that. So whether it's one hospital or you'll hit the data, there's a presentation about Bochum in Germany, there's a number of hospitals working together centrally, or whether it's one region or one nation, it comes back to the leadership, where you want to drive use cases, the speed of change and development you want on it. So I think it's down to the human challenge of transformation that decides whether federation is better suited. And the other question you just said earlier around another region perhaps doing different standards, for me that is a human issue of borders. So if someone goes across a border or is visiting a friend and they're in the late stage pregnancy, and something happens, then actually when you're trying to get access to the information over time as you transport, that person may not be access to that record. So it's not a challenge of standards, it's a challenge of a human issue and how we manage population. So I think it's a governance question, and that's interesting that the governments maybe not perhaps driving it or standardising it.
And we have the same thing also with the document-based data sharing. So we talked about registries and repositories, and I know that, for example, in the Netherlands you have a lot of XDS repositories. So the record locators, maybe we could call them like that, the registry level, and then distributed repositories. So we need to be careful with the governance. So governance is important, but it is possible to do federated architectures.
Yeah, I have a question about, you mentioned that there is a kind of understanding of framework how we move from the legal point of view from document-based data to actually open EHR-based model. So are there actual blueprints of how this regulation is changing?
Yeah, these legal questions are tricky because we can have implementation guides and laws for different nations. So what I tried to say with the legal readiness was that we built for our document-based data infrastructure. We built the processes and we made the necessary changes in the laws, because in Finland we had a very, very tricky data privacy law, maybe trickier than in many other member states. And then we can build this openEHR-based data exchange on top of that. But for example, in our national openEHR-based data exchange program, we ask the consent. But inside our regions, we don't have to ask the consent when we share between cross and social and health. So there are variations, and it really depends on the country.
I think it's slightly layered. So you might have RBAC, so responsibility is what you can access, but it's also about versioning control and auditing. So when someone changes the data or makes a clinical decision, that is stored and audited over time. So the services of auditing of that, how the data has been changed and amended needs to be audited and collected and then be interrogated.
And you need to remember that openEHR data platforms and data repositories, they need to have data access control like any, say, archives or repositories. So we need to take care of that layer. And I think maybe it's now or the next speak there, yours is talking about data access control from Netherlands. So the concept itself.
And yours is this afternoon.
Is it in the afternoon? Okay, so please go there. Yeah, you had a question.
I did. I was just wondering, in this multi-vendor universe, where does responsibility for defining templates lie? Is it with the vendors, or is it down at the data model level?
So two perspectives. So when application vendors, when they make applications, they define templates and build forms and the actual user experiences on top of that. So that is the application development side. But then we also have national groups for data modeling, and we try to say harmonize and use certain templates. So for example, in Sweden you have this attention what is it? Attention template. Sorry?
Attention information and alert information. Critical information?
Yeah.
Critical information perhaps.
Yeah. And now in Finland we are building a wellness data template that we would like every single vendor to utilize them. But we don't want to restrict the development, of course. It's up to the vendors.
So if you have different vendors defining their own templates, how does somebody want it to consume, to present that data read-only? How do they know what templates are available, for
So it's up to the applications. I don't know if you, Mika, want to say something, because Mika is an application vendor here.
Yeah, so I'm from the Tietoevry, so we started with these fixed templates, but because we are now co-developing with the actual customers, like the multiple regions, actually even the workflow is in the template. The end user can actually add even individual archetypes if the person in care needs needs additional data for the visit. So that is how we are like controlling that they are not anymore fixed. Everyone can add. It's just an archetype finder in the data entry.
Okay.
I
I think
think
we've reached our time. So thank you, Hanna. That was really great.
Yeah.